We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every week for the past 9 years on Bright House Cable, Channel 49. We talk about issues that are pertinent to the Hispanic community, and I'm here with Jose Miranda of radio fame. Okay, on what radio station was that they threw you off? And then we're here with Daisy Arruz, who just joined us. We haven't figured out if we're going to throw her off the air or not. We're just testing her. And Glenda Chauncey, who has been with us for a long time, and she's the legal advocate here. She usually interviews lawyers and community leaders on the second segment of the show. So you're going to see her again after we're finished beating each other up a little bit. And of course, my name is Danny Ramos. And we talk about things, but I don't know what we're going to talk about. What do you guys want to talk about? How about the union thing? The New York Times came out today and said that Michigan, which was a big union state, has now zip.
Because the governor there is trying to undermine the union.
The governor's a Republican.
The whole kit and
you can do it.
The whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, the state legislature is Republican dominated.
Right. And they want to control the next election. These guys are not planning just for today.
Well, who plans for today? Did Obama's planning for one day? He's not planning for
They're playing for 2016 and beyond.
Of course, everybody does. Everybody's running for the next
election. And we're talking about big money here, okay? Because one millionaire Republican against the unions have to organize and really get together.
You telling me the unions don't have money?
They do.
Yeah.
But now they're making it hard for the unions to collect dues.
Well, I think it's about time. What do you think?
Well, for Michigan to become a right-to-work state, that's going to hurt a lot of other states.
A lot of states. They got a bunch of them. Wisconsin went, Illinois went.
There are 34 states at present.
That have right to work.
Right to work.
Well, why shouldn't they have a right to work state? Don't you think they? Why should you be denied a job for a company because you're a non-union person?
I like unions.
Do you really?
I do.
Well, let me tell you what happened to me just today.
Oh boy. Here we go.
Okay, today.
Should we bring a towel out?
This happened today.
Let me bring a towel out for this.
No, let me bring a towel out.
But I would like to explain when you're finished with your rant why I like unions, so that way you understand.
I like unions back when they meant something besides financial corruption. Okay, in the old days, I loved unions.
Right.
You know, they were protective. They took care of child labor. They took care of a decent wage. That everybody, they do. But you want to know something? They do it in a gangsterism way, and they make you pay totally disproportionate amounts of money for your labor. Now, today, okay, I did a job. I did an event in a hotel in New York. I've been going back and forth with that hotel. They sent me a bill, okay, for 7 hours.
On that same bill?
Yeah.
Isn't that the bill from last year?
Yes.
Oh my
gosh. No, last week. 7 hours of union labor by an electrician who was not there. The guy was not there. We have it in writing from the hotel manager that the guy left, and he sent me a bill, $125 an hour for 7 hours that I must pay. And if I don't pay it, they will not let me go back into that hotel, and the guy was not there.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If the guy did not show up and he was not there to work, I mean, that obviously is a system that is breaking somewhere. And don't go back to that hotel. But I'm going to tell you, I was a flight attendant with Pan Am. And back in the day, I'm dating myself, you know, it was good to have a union, especially someone who flew. Because I'm going to tell you, if it were up to the airlines at the time, they would have flown me like a dog. And I wouldn't have gotten my sleep. I wouldn't have gotten my rest.
But you could quit your job if you didn't like it.
But I think Jose had addressed that.
Why can't you quit your job?
You can say that unions are good for the specific types of services.
They do provide a specific type of service, but let's get right to work state. Actually means the whole idea is people need jobs, and so they're willing to work for less.
What's wrong? Look,
wait a minute, wait.
People are willing to work.
I understand they're willing to work. However, if a job really calls for $30 an hour, and now the employer can say, it's the right to work state, I'll pay you $10 an hour, that's the difference.
But there you have the option of the person to take the 10 or not take the 10.
Yeah, but they're unemployed, and if they're unemployed, something's better than nothing.
So if you got your kids hungry at home, okay, you don't have money to pay the rent, and you want to work, some guy who's making $30 an hour is preventing you from working?
Yeah, but
that's not fair. It should be industry.
How many jobs?
It should be open market. It should be open market.
You have to have some fairness, okay? You cannot pay someone $10 when in actuality everyone else is earning $30.
They're earning $30 because it's union gangsterism, okay? That pickets the hotels or pickets the company.
The guy was making $30 an hour.
What?
The guy was making $30 an hour.
He's only making $30 an hour. Let's take my union guy.
He's able to make. Wait a minute. He's able to make the mortgage. He's able to pay his bills.
Listen,
the person making $10 an hour has to work 3 jobs to do the same thing.
Society.
It's not fair.
We live in a free society. And who is left out of all of this? The minorities. They're the ones that are left out because the unions have always been controlled and they have token minorities. But if you go into any shop, union shop in New York, hey, go look at the guy who's running it. Okay? Minorities are not getting those $30 an hour jobs. Are you kidding?
The unions to set the guidelines.
Who what?
Who permits the unions?
Gangsterism. If you don't sign, we pick it.
Where does the gangsterism come from?
From the unions.
Okay, is it a cycle? I mean, how does it start? Who sets the guidelines?
Explain that to the audience.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll tell you how it works, okay? You have a major hotel in New York, okay? Over years, they approved the union. They started with that back in the 50s or 60s, and that's when they started with a wage that was market value. Then the union guy, like that union guy from Hostess, who went on TV and said, hey, my car is 3 years old. I want a new car.
Are you messing with
That's why I'm picking, the Twinkie guy, okay? So he was a union guy, and he said, no, my car's already almost 4 years old. I want a new car, okay?
Unions help
I want more money
around them.
Excuse me?
Unions help the other industries around them.
Listen,
because the fact is, if you're making $30 an hour,
you know what you're always
the guy
forgetting?
down the street
you know what you're
is
forgetting?
making less. He's going to demand, look, this
I
guy
tell you
is
what
making
you're
30.
forgetting. This is what you guys are forgetting, okay? What you're forgetting, we're in a global economy, and we have to compete. The reason why Detroit went downhill on the quality of the cars is because the unions kept on demanding more money, so they had to lower the quality of the cars. So then the cars were made someplace else, like in Japan or Korea, okay? And the cars came in because the labor. What are you talking about?
These guys have made more money now. These owners have made more money now.
What owners? What are you talking about?
The corporations have made millions and billions of dollars.
Oh my God! Man. All of these corporations almost went out of business. Obama saved them from going out of business.
You making all this money. Look at us. We're poor as crap. You know, sorry.
You know something?
I think you can say that on TV. I think you can say that.
You can say crap on TV.
Say,
Why
crap's
not?
Okay.
Craps.
Come on. I mean, in all reality, I've learned a lot in the last 5 years. And one thing I've learned, there is corruption at the very top.
Yes.
You're sitting here talking about unions. Guess what? It's from
so
the
corruption.
top.
That's my point. That's what I was getting at. How
because
do the guidelines? How are they created?
The guidelines are created.
Like you said,
it's a wild card. What happens is people always try to get as much as they can. The unions always try to get as much as they can. Okay? It's as simple as that. That's why Detroit almost went out of business, because the union packages were so expensive. Then finally Obama got the unions to back down to save GM and Ford and Chrysler, or else they would have gone out. They didn't have the money to pay the unions what they wanted. They didn't have the money to pay the retirement
Oh, but
packages.
they have the money to pay their executives multi-million dollar
You want to know
bonuses.
something?
Come on.
Listen,
You know what?
listen. If you have
You are on a rant today.
100 executives, okay, who are making 150,000, 200 grand a
They're
year.
making more than that.
Whatever they're making, whatever they're making, that's another issue.
talking
We're
millions.
talking unions. We're not talking. You know, you have an issue with unions, and you're bringing in something else. Now, I understand it's part of it, but let's talk about the union issue.
Part of
The
it.
union issue
Well, that's why he
is
lost the election.
taking out of
Yes.
is
I
mean,
taking
part of
the
it.
union. It is. It is. I
It's
understand
a
that.
big picture, Danny.
But
It's
look,
not
look,
just. You
just
can't-
add
you
up
can't-
how much is being taken on each side. Okay, what's being taken on side by the unions is totally disproportionate. You got a guy, okay, who's not capable of doing a job, and he has to get paid to do that job, whether he's there or not.
And do you know what? How many people in the state of Florida, just because you didn't dress a certain way or you don't look a certain way, they have the right to fire you whenever they want to fire
We're
you.
not talking about that. We're talking about unions.
But if
okay?
you're
if
with
somebody,
union
it all
if somebody
started
is
with
a
the
good,
right to work state,
if
and then
somebody
you brought
is a
in the
good,
unions.
if someone is a good employee, they will not get fired.
Oh my goodness.
Okay?
That is
I
not
have people
true.
that work
That
in my.
is not true.
If someone is
That
a
is
good
not true.
employee, I would never
That
fire
is
them.
not true.
Who
I would
has
never fire them.
We
kidnapped
just had a
Danny
case
Ramos?
not too long ago of a lady she had a
Listen, I
voluptuous
have
look,
paid-
and because an older lady in the office did not like the way she looked, she had her put on a t-shirt, a lousy t-shirt, just so she can cover up. Come on.
Did that
The
happen?
right to work
Where
state.
did that happen?
That happened here.
Where? What
Here.
company? What
I
company?
don't know the company, but
All
it
right,
happened
well then, if you're not
recently.
willing to substantiate,
Don't
I will
need
not
it.
accept
Okay,
that as a
that's-
sample.
No.
Listen,
The
the
We
point
need
is-
backup.
the point
We need
is,
backup.
She was a great employee. She went to work, and because someone didn't like the way she looked, let me
That
put
could
a
happen. And that's why we have a
They got
legal-
rid of her.
and that's
Then
why
they
we
got
have a
rid of
legal
her.
No,
system.
you don't have a legal
We
system.
do have a legal
It
system.
doesn't
No.
work, Danny.
Yeah.
It's a right
And
to
they
work
won't
state.
defend
They
you.
can fire
They
you
do
for
not
any
defend
single
you.
reason.
I am just
They do
concerned
not
about
defend
paying
you.
$125 an hour
Well,
to a
that's-
guy who doesn't show up to work.
Well, what happens if
And
you
I
don't
am
pay him?
forced to pay for it.
What
I am
happens?
forced.
So you don't go back to that hotel.
Yeah, I don't go back to the hotel.
And it
so
won't be the first hotel they kicked you out of.
No, listen, we have a very good relationship with the hotel. We've been there a long time.
Okay. Well, then
Okay, a long
honestly,
time.
this is touching a soft
And
spot.
no, it is. I mean,
Why can't you go
let's
to the top leader?
Let's
who's,
go.
Who's his leader?
Who's who?
Who's the guy's leader?
So
Who's,
we're going
who's the
to-
guy that's in
Take
charge
him
of
to
the guy
the
who didn't show up? Why don't
What
you
am I? I'm going to go to a union
Yeah.
boss to
Yeah.
tell him
The
don't pay the
gangster.
union guy?
The gangster.
Come on, what are you talking
The
about?
gangster.
Listen, I met them outside of the hotel, by the way. Okay, let me tell you, I got it's another story for
Paid
next week.
$125.
It's another
for 7
story for
hours
next
and
week because I was literally surrounded by 4 guys on the street.
Right.
Okay, I got to
Bruno-
tell you that story next
Bruno
week.
Guido
But the
Guido.
reality is, exactly, the reality is that unions. My experience with unions.
Right.
Okay, in New York City, they control every hotel. If you don't pay, whether they are on the job or not.
Right.
Okay, I have had to give bags of money. I have had to get
We
them to
have
cooperate.
discussed those issues
I know,
on
and you're bringing, and I'm bringing, but we
on
might have a
prior
different audience here.
episodes.
We discussed the
It's
felony
okay.
issues
Let's
that
Yeah,
you're willing to
not only
promote.
that, but
Let's-
we had the
As a matter
situation.
of fact, let's all be thankful that we all made it to 12-12-12. We will never ever again see that date. So just
Well,
be
not only
thankful.
that,
And you know what
21st.
12-12-12 is? How much time we have left? We got 2 minutes. 12-12-12 is my birthday.
What?
Yeah,
Today
today's
is
my
your
birthday.
Birthday, Danny.
Oh my goodness. No wonder you're a little feisty today.
I'm going out drinking.
That's what it is. I just figured it out.
Yeah, today's my birthday.
It really
Anyway,
isn't the real Danny
but you
Ramos.
want to know something? I'm not getting a new car because I had to pay that union guy. He's getting
You
the
said
new
you
car.
didn't pay him.
Just like the guy. Boy,
125
I couldn't
times
tell
seven.
you
You
how.
have not
With less
paid
than
him.
2 minutes left, what's the best thing about the right to work state?
The best thing about the right to work state is that immigrants can get in that are coming to this country. They get equal shot at a good job, okay? And I don't think the parity is $30 to 10. I would think that the parity might be 30 to 20 or 20 to 15, but not 30 to 10. That doesn't work in reality. And I'm a business guy. I have people that work for me. That's not a right parity. 30 to 10 maybe. Okay, right to work state means a mother, an independent mother with children, she gets a crack at a good job that wouldn't go to her because that shop is locked up. You cannot go into that business unless you're a union person. And who gets those jobs? The guy's cousin, hey, there's an opening, and the guy's brother-in-law. That's how it works.
jobs
That
in
happens
Florida are
anyway.
maintained by cousins and brothers and
Exactly.
sisters.
Well, you want to know
happens all
something?
better.
You want to know something? I
Growers.
do job fairs here, okay? and I have 40 to 50 employees at my job fairs, and I've been doing job fairs for 9 years. Okay, you come into my job fair, anybody has a crack at a good job. Good ones and lower end ones, if you can do it and you have the qualifications, there's no union guy preventing you from applying and getting approved on the spot for a job. Are we out of time?
Don't forget.
Okay.
Unions
All right.
work.
This is Danny Ramos. Okay, guys, you've been really entertaining. We had a good time. Okay, and stay tuned because we have a person here who's going to talk about what happens to children that have been abused. Now, these are adults that have been abused, but I'm talking about children who have been abused. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to see that right away. Okay?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
And welcome back to Speak Out TV, and this is Glenda Chauncey, and I'm here with Victor Salgado. Victor, welcome this evening. Victor is actually with the volunteer recruitment coordinator with the Guardian Ad Litem. Is that correct?
That's correct. Guardian Ad Litem program.
I guess what the real thing we should do at this point is really finding out what is this all about.
Well, the Guardian Ad Litem program is a program that represents children who have been removed from their homes as a result of abuse, abandonment, and neglect. And these volunteers and the Guardian Ad Litem actually represents these children in court and speaks on their behalf and for what is in the best interest of these children while they are either in a foster home, group home, or whatever environment they happen to be in. Which really are assignment by the court.
Okay,
so
very
we are
good.
assigned by the
So
court.
the Guardian Ad Litem, I'm kind of familiar with that program, and they do step in when there's issues of divorce. There's other issues, I'm sure, that they step in to make sure these children are being treated fairly and properly. So what makes you unique and different is the fact that these particular children have been abused. Is this something that's recorded, documented? I mean, how do we know that this is happening?
Well, these are children who have been removed by the Department of Children and Families, and once the case goes before the court, the judge will appoint the Guardian Ad Litem. These are cases that really it's all designated by the court as far as the Guardian Ad Litem program being involved in the case. As far as how it's recorded, I mean, these are unfortunately information that's kind of statistics as far as what's going on with children, unfortunately, throughout the state. So it's really a program that what most people don't realize is that most of the Guardian Ad Litems are all volunteers. As a matter of fact, almost 100% are volunteers. And unfortunately, there are just not enough volunteers throughout the state to really handle the number of cases that we have of children who are in need of a Guardian Ad Litem.
Okay, and when you're speaking of the volunteers, what is expected of them? Do they provide X amount of hours? Do they have to be credited somehow, licensed? I mean, do they have to go through some series of background checks? I gotta think you have to do things.
Well, as a Guardian Ad Litem, you're required to at least commit to a 1 year to the program. What we want to do is we want to make sure that children have someone consistently in their life as a Guardian Ad Litem throughout the course of the case, and usually the cases can go anywhere from 9 months to 12 to a year. What's required is that you pass a background screening, which includes Department of Children and Families background check, fingerprinting, local law enforcement checks, that you also complete a 30-hour training, which is required to become a guardian ad litem. And at the end is really just make sure that you've completed all the requirements in order for you to be able to assist any children or be assigned to a case. And usually at the end the judge will come in and kind of give the oath to the members who have completed the class and kind of make it official. But the course really kind of lets you know what's expected of a guardian ad litem. But usually it's about 7 to 10 hours a month of volunteer time, and that is at least visiting with the child once within a 30-day period as a minimum. Depending on the cases, some children might require more time from a guardian ad litem, depending on what the circumstances are. So it really all depends. It's on a case by case. So some children might need more attention than others.
And these are foster homes. I mean, these are homes that have already been designated as a foster home.
Yeah, well, some of them may be in foster homes. However, one of the things that happens is that if there is a family member who is capable of taking care of these children while this case is open, then that that child could be placed with an aunt, an uncle, or a relative, maybe a friend of the family, someone who has already gone through a series of checks from the state, saying that this is a safe environment for this child. So, but for the most part, they could be in a foster home, but they can also be outside of a foster. They can even be in a group home.
And why did the state see a need for this? I mean, obviously, this is a new program, as you mentioned.
Well, it's not new. It's actually been in existence for a while. What's happened is that the strategy right now has really been to really promote the program because, as you asked, one of the things that we were looking at is the number of children that there are and the number of volunteers there are. So when the program this year, come January, when they were looking at a way of bringing on new volunteers, they were looking at the numbers. How many children actually are in the system of care, and how many volunteers are there, and how many children actually have a guardian ad litem. So, when you're looking at 30,000 kids in foster care or being removed from the state by the state and put in the system of care, and you only have 20,000 children being represented, well, now there's a gap of 10,000 volunteers needed to cover the number of children that they are in care. So that became a real important need. So that's where really the push for recruitment came in, and trying to find enough volunteers to really kind of make sure that every child had an opportunity to have a voice in court.
Right, and I got to think too, because I'm in the foreclosure law end of the world, so especially Osceola County, which my understanding is that your home base?
Yes,
that's where you're at, and then but you also are in Orange County as well.
Right.
I mean, we have 10,000 right now, supposed recorded homeless children in Central Florida. So I can only imagine the stress and what happens. Not only physical abuse to women, moms, children is probably escalating. I can only imagine divorces are happening right and left. So you probably have a flood of things happening right now. I can only imagine.
Unfortunately, a lot of these children have been removed as a result of domestic violence, homelessness. I mean, some of the things that you just mentioned. I mean, and unfortunately, the children are the ones who end up, unfortunately, in these situations. But importantly, is that we be able to provide a voice for these children while they're in care, so that we can expedite the process. Otherwise, you would have children lingering in foster care for, forever. So having someone as a guardian ad litem really means that this person is going to have the ability to really speed up the process, and at the same time be able to find out what the needs are for the child while they're in care, so that we can actually find ways of providing the resources they need so that they can have somewhat of a normal life while they're outside of their home.
And what do you think the average age? I mean, are you finding that it's smaller children, or is it across the board?
It's it varies. I mean, we handle children from 0 to 17. Once they're 18, they're no longer considered children. However, sometimes what happens, you have sibling groups. And a case not necessarily is one child. It could be several children. It could be brothers and sisters. So those are situations that sometimes may involve some extra time, because you're not only looking at one child's needs, you're looking at the needs of maybe 2 or 3 children who happen to be in that home or part of that family. But it's definitely the numbers unfortunately are up there. Right now, at any given time, we have probably about 550 cases that we have in Osceola County, and one of the pushes that I have, and part of what the Guardian ad litem program is trying to find folks that mirror the population that we serve. And if we're talking about 40% of this population are Hispanic children, it's important for us to really find volunteers who mirror the culture of these children to be able to provide that volunteer opportunity or that voice for these children in court.
Obviously, speaking the language is important to keep that in mind.
Because you're also dealing with the families as well. So, you know, if there are certain requirements that the court has placed on these families in order for the children to come home, because for the most part, what we try to do is we try to work on reunification, trying to get the children back home. And although our focus is really on the safety of the children, we oftentimes talk to the parents to find out, well, you know, how are you doing? What are the needs that you have? Because, you know, in order for the children to remain safe, the parents have to be.
Absolutely. And do they provide programs? Because I always wonder about that because, you know, okay, great, we have this problem, we have this issue, but do they really provide support programs for the parents and the children when they do these unifications? Because I know that's very, very important.
Well, one of the things, resources are always difficult, but one of the things that happens is when a child comes into care and the judge says, well, these are the things that mom needs to comply with or dad needs to comply with, or as a couple, whatever the case may be, you know, the resources are looked for. And if it's parenting, if it's drug rehab, drug treatment, domestic violence, batterers intervention programs, these are the things in order for them to comply that, you know, the state or Department of Children and Families, a case management organization who actually represents the case under Department of Children and Families, will try to find ways of providing that support to the parents so they can work towards reunification. But during the process, the Guardian Ad Litem program is really looking at the kids and, all right, this is what mom's doing, this is what dad's doing, this is what everybody needs to do. How are you doing? You know, are you having difficulties in school? Do you need a tutor? I mean, depending on the purpose or the reason why these children came into care, you know, some of them have experienced a trauma, and probably most of them have experienced a trauma. Even being removed is a trauma. So do they need therapy? Do we need counseling? You know, a lot of children maybe, you know, if they were neglected, maybe never had the opportunity to really go through all the medical exams and get all the shots and everything they need. So making sure that while we have the child in care, that we make sure that we're on top of all the things the child may have lacked or just needs to have in place now that we have the opportunity to assist them.
Well, it sounds like a really great program. And is there an online way that people can start this application process? I mean, I notice here that
they can go online. I mean, they can call me directly, and you know, I would be more than happy to speak to them in order to make sure that, you know, they can go directly as far as the county. You know, they can come directly to me. But if they wanted to find out more about the program, they can go to guardianadlitem.org.
Okay.
And there would be information regarding the program, and it's actually a video by Alan Abramowitz, who's the executive director of the program, that really gives some information about, you know, what's expected of a guardian ad litem, what's a guardian ad litem, you know, as far as, you know, the state goes.
And then once they contact you, and it's a number here, you may want to go ahead and give this number and your address where you're located.
Sure. We're at 2 Courthouse Square, which is in Kissimmee, and my number is 407-709-7166.
Okay.
Or they can also reach me at vsalgado.gal@gmail.com.
Okay, very good. Well, you know what? This is something that obviously is very needed because the children are our future. I keep saying this over and over again. And anybody out there in the audience that is really wanting to give back to your community, this is definitely a way that I can see that someone could really make a difference in someone's life. So thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you.
With Speak Out TV. My name is Glenda Chauncey. Our guest tonight was Victor Salgado, Volunteer Recruitment Coordinator with the Guardian Ad Litem. Thank you so much and have a wonderful evening.